What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Chatting with Cheeze podcast. I'm your host, Fat Cheeze, and y'all already know the motto: no gimmicks, only the real. This is episode 58, but before we move on, I want to give a special shout out and appreciation to all of y'all who went and watched my last interview with Bishop Behan of the Club 520 podcast. That joint probably at about like 300 and some views right now, so if you didn't go see it by now, go back, check it out, and keep getting them views up. Like, comment, let me know what y'all think, and let's go ahead and jump right into this episode, man. So first, before we do anything, I want to send a special shout out to all my Commanders fans out there. Y'all can go ahead and take y'all breath, move back from the cliff. Y'all signed y'all boy today. Shout out to Terry McLaurin getting his contract done, ending this holdout. A 3-year, $96 million deal. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's about $32 million a year for the next 3 years. But all the contract information hasn't fully came out, so we'll know how it looked maybe by sometime tomorrow, and we'll know how the contract actually breaks down. But shout out to Terry McLaurin, shout out to all my Commanders fans. I knew that this was going to happen all along. I felt as though there was no way after the season that the Commanders just came off of that they would go into this new season with high expectations without their number one guy. I know Terry was frustrated with the way things were going, but at the end of the day, we always got to understand that the NFL is a business, but they got it done. All his teammates were rooting for him. Jaden Daniels was on his side rooting for him to get his contract, and he ended up getting it 1 week before the season. I think 13 days before their first game. So now you go ahead and get him on the practice field, get him in that game, get those reps in, get him in that game shape, and now they can go ahead and rock and roll. So congratulations to Terry McLaurin, all my Commanders fans, and the Commanders organization for getting it done. And hey, man, NFL is back. Moving on to my next topic. So this is a contract that hasn't been done yet. Probably the biggest story in the NFL right now. Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. Now we getting into crunch time. The last preseason game is over. Next Thursday is officially week 1. The first game of the season, Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And the big question now is, does Micah get his contract before the season? Does Micah go into the season without a contract? How is this thing going to play out? So the question that I have is, what percentage chance do I give it that Micah Parsons does not suit up next Thursday for the Dallas Cowboys week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles? And I kind of went back and forth with myself on this because this one is kind of tough. For me, after the reports yesterday, I would say I give it a 30%, a 35, I'll say 40. I give it a 40% chance that he doesn't suit up for the Cowboys. So that means I'm giving him a 60% chance that he will suit up. The reason why I believe that he will suit up is because yesterday, for me and other Cowboy fans, it was positive because he got an MRI done on his back, and Brian Schottenheimer came out and said that the x-rays came back clean. Now, the idea that I thought was maybe he will go into it, say, okay, my back is still tight. I can't really do everything I want to do. So I felt as though he was going to play the injury role, and that was going to be his way of missing games without being hit them fines for his money, because I think it's like $1 million a game, every game that he missed. So I thought he was going to pull that. But when Schottenheimer came out and said that that the MRIs came back clean, that kind of gave me a little sigh of relief, saying, okay, I don't think he's going to go that route. So my only thing, what I believe is, and I'm holding on to hope, I'm hoping that before next week they can get a deal done, either sometime this week or early next week, or I don't know. I just even if a deal doesn't get done and he goes into the season without a contract, me personally, I still wouldn't be happy with that, because you don't want a disgruntled player out there on the field, and you already been having all this stuff going on. Him and Jerry going back and forth. Jerry doing a whole bunch of interviews. Micah deleting everything off of his Twitter, scrubbing his Twitter and everything like that. So it's already a distraction. You don't want to go into the season against the defending champs with Micah disgruntled and unhappy, and now it's just, that's just a bad look. So what I'm hoping is, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, that Jerry Jones is just doing his normal thing and just trying to make headlines and play this thing out into the very last minute, and Micah Parsons ultimately gets his deal. That's what I'm hoping for. But knowing the Dallas Cowboys and me being a Dallas Cowboy fan, as long as I have, you never know how this thing could wind up. But right now, I would give it a 40% chance that he doesn't play, and I would give it a 60% chance that he does. That right there, I wanted to go a little lower, but once again, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and you never know what could happen. I also seen something where Dak Prescott said he's confident Micah will play. I seen Trayvon Diggs talking today saying that Micah really wants to be out there. So I'm just hoping that we can just put it into this. Oh, we see all these guys getting paid. McLaurin just got his contract. Trey Hendrickson just got a contract from the Bengals. Hopefully, Micah is next in line to get his contract situation resolved, and we can roll on into next week, ready to roll 100% against the Philadelphia Eagles and get this NFL season started the right way. But that's my thoughts on that. So, what percentage would I give it that he doesn't play? I would give it 40%, and I give it a 60% chance that he does play. So, we just gonna have to wait and play this thing out and see what happens. So, moving on. The next thing is the NFL season is here. I'm so excited. We got college football this Saturday. I'm super excited for that too. But the NFL season is officially back next week. And I want y'all to let me know in the comments, but I'm going to say my own. What's the biggest storyline? What is a storyline that you in particular are going to be paying close attention to this upcoming season? It could be anything. It could be how certain coaches look in their new roles. It could be, what player comes out of nowhere. What personal storyline are you going to be looking for this upcoming NFL season? I want y'all to comment that down below. For me, the storyline that I'm mostly going to be looking forward to and paying attention is in Chicago with the Chicago Bears. The storyline I'm going to be looking closest to is, can Ben Johnson turn the Chicago Bears offense around? And I think that's a huge question. I think a bunch of Chicago fans are excited right now. They were able to get Ben Johnson, seeing what he did in Detroit. They're hoping that he can come over and transition and do the same thing for them that he did in Detroit. And honestly, for me, I think it can be done. Last year, the Chicago Bears were my sleeper team in the NFC. Not to come out of the NFC, but make noise in the NFC. After that Hail Mary game against the Commanders, everything just went completely off the rails. Caleb Williams didn't look that good. The offense didn't look good. Eberflus was there. It was just a lot going on. They got Eberflus out of there, coaching staff. They brought in Ben Johnson. The question is, and it's all going to fall on the shoulders of Caleb Williams. How can you transition? Can you transition Caleb Williams to be that quarterback, to be that elite level quarterback? I wouldn't even necessarily say elite level, but just be good enough. If we being honest, and a lot of people may not agree with me on this, I would say that Caleb Williams, if we're just looking at attributes or ability, I believe that if you measure the ability of Caleb Williams and Jared Goff, I believe that Caleb Williams is above Jared Goff in ability. Not to say Jared Goff isn't a good quarterback. I think Jared Goff is a very good quarterback, but I think Caleb Williams has the tools to be a elite quarterback in this league, with the way he's able to throw, certain throws he's able to make, moving off platform, things of that nature. If you sit and watch what Ben Johnson did with that Detroit offense, you hope that he could come over to Chicago and be able to do the same thing. Last year, this Chicago Bears offensive rating in total offense, 32nd. Points per game, 28th. Passing offense, 31st. Rushing offense, 25th. They were bottom of the league at everything. Meanwhile, if you look over at Detroit under Ben Johnson's offense last year, total offense, 2nd. Passing offense, 2nd. Rushing offense, 6th. Scoring offense, 1st. Red zone offense, 3rd. Third down offense, 4th. So they were at the top of the league in basically every category, whereas though Chicago was ranked at the bottom. If Ben Johnson can just come over to Chicago and just make it work with Caleb Williams, get put Caleb Williams in the best position to succeed, I believe this Chicago Bears offense can go into new heights. That's how much I think of Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is that good. And I understand he gets a lot of flack. But like I said, if you're just looking at ability alone, I think Caleb Williams has the ability to be an elite level quarterback. I honestly believe that. And, you know, just looking at this offense, you have DeAndre Swift at running back. He's not a great running back, but DeAndre Swift is serviceable. I think you could make something work with DeAndre Swift in the backfield. At the wide receiver position, you have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. They drafted Luther Burden, and they also brought over Olamide Zaccheaus from Washington. I think that wide receiver core is good enough. I think DJ Moore is a top 20 receiver in this league. Rome Odunze is an upcoming receiver, solid number 2 in this league. You add Luther Burden to that, who was a top wide receiver in this past draft class. I think you can make it work. Tight ends, Cole Kmet and also Colston Loveland, who they drafted, first round pick from Michigan, who's like a receiver threat tight end. So they have pieces. I think if Ben Johnson can just come together and put it together, I think that we could be looking at one of the best offenses in the league if he could put it together. That's the storyline going into the season. Can he put it together? I love the additions that they added on the offensive line this offseason. Joe Thuney from the Kansas City Chiefs. They added Jonah Jackson. They added Drew Dahlman. You know what I'm saying? Get that offensive line better. Remember last year Caleb Williams was running for his life. Get that they put some pieces on that offensive line. He has weapons on the outside. He has a solid running back in the backfield. I believe that Ben Johnson can turn this thing around in Chicago. I seriously do. Caleb Williams for the 2025 NFL preseason. Caleb Williams statistics included a 220 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 73.3 completion rate across his games against the Bills and Chiefs as seen on ESPN. He also had a passer rating of 102 in the 2025 preseason. In game 1 versus the Bills, Williams exited after 2 series, completing 6 of 10 passes for 130 yards and 130 passer rating. His game 2 versus the Chiefs, he struggled early but improved to lead the Bears to a field goal and a touchdown before halftime. So like I said, it's all going to be on the back of Caleb Williams. What can you get out of Caleb Williams? But like I said, remember, there was question marks about Jared Goff when he first got traded to Detroit. And look at how Ben Johnson and that Detroit offense completely turned around the outlook of how people look at Jared Goff. There's people I see giving up on Caleb Williams after just 1 season. And let's not forget, before the Hail Mary against that lost them the game against Washington, Chicago, I believe, was doing pretty decent. The Hail Mary basically ended their season. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that if Ben Johnson, I'm going to be looking very close at this Chicago team. And the question that I have is, can Ben Johnson turn the Chicago Bears offense around? I can't wait to see and find out. But trust me, it's going to be very interesting. But if he can, I believe that we can be looking at maybe, I would say, a top 10 Bears offense because they have the weapons. So I just can't wait to see. But that's going to be the storyline that I'm most looking forward to in this upcoming football season, NFL season. I'm going to be paying very close attention. And all you Bears fans, y'all make sure y'all paying close attention too. Moving on. I just spoke on it earlier. College football season is here. This Saturday, I'm locked in. Come 12 o'clock, don't call my phone. I'm locked in early. But we got some bangers. We got a hell of a week 1 lined up for this week, college football. I think this is one of the best week 1s that I've seen in college football in a while. You got the Texas Longhorns on the road going. So I'm sorry, I'm skipping. So I'm going to give my predictions for the top 3 games this week 1 for the college football, right? I'm not going to do all of them because that's too many games. I'm just going to do the 3 games that I'm most interested in seeing. So at first, you got the Texas Longhorns on the road going to see Ohio State. You have the Alabama Crimson Tide playing the Florida State Seminoles. And then you have the LSU Tigers going up against the Clemson Tigers. This right here is a hell of a week for college football. All my college football fans, we all should be excited, and I guarantee we are. So I'm just going to give my predictions and let y'all know what I think. So first, I'm going to start out with the Texas Longhorns versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. This one was a little tough for me because I like Ohio State. I say it all the time. If I wasn't a Maryland fan, I would more than likely be an Ohio State fan. I like Ohio State a lot. I'm a huge Jeremiah Smith fan. Best wide receiver in college football, without a doubt. But for this game in particular, I gave the edge to the Texas Longhorns. I think it's going to be I think the beginning of the game could be very good, very competitive, but I do believe towards the end, Texas will be able to kind of take control. And I think I'd say Texas win this game by 10 points or more. I just think that Texas defensive line is going to be dominant. I think Texas is going to have the best roster all year. I think this is the best year for the Texas Longhorns to win a national championship. I think Arch Manning is a step above Quinn Ewers, who Texas had last year at quarterback. I think Arch Manning is a step above him. Now, the question is going to be Texas in that run game. Did that run game improve from last year? Arch Manning is also a threat with his legs, but I just think this roster is fully complete. The only reason why I'm going against Ohio State in this one is because you have a true freshman that's going to be out there starting at quarterback, going up against arguably the most dominant defensive line in college football. We got to see if he'll get rattled. You don't know. A true freshman out there in a big moment like that, you don't know what could happen. Also, outside of Jeremiah Smith, where else is the production going to come from? That's another thing that I'm going to be looking for Ohio State. And then on the defensive side of the ball, are you going to be able to stop the rushing attack of Texas and also be able to check their wide receivers out there on the perimeter? I think it's going to be a tall task. Now, if this game was maybe later on in the season, I may give Ohio State a better chance and possibly a chance at winning. But I think the first game, guys are still trying to gauge, and I just think it's going to be tough. I just think this one is going to be a tall task. Like I said, I believe it can be competitive at the beginning, but I think maybe in that second half, you'll kind of see Texas start to pull away, and I think we could see Texas win by maybe 2 scores, but you never know. That's just my prediction. Let me know what y'all think below. I just think that Texas is going to be the best team throughout this whole year. I think their roster is fully complete. I think this is going to be their best year. This is going to be, out of all the years, I believe that this right here is going to be the best year for the Texas Longhorns to win a national championship. So for that one, I went Texas. For the second game, Alabama Crimson Tide versus the Florida Seminoles. Come on now, y'all already know. I went Alabama. Ryan Williams, that's my guy. That Alabama offense and that defense. Florida State, we got to see how they come back after last year. I just think Alabama's 13-point favorites. I believe Alabama covers the spread. This is a game that I also believe that Alabama will win by double-digit scores. I never go against Alabama. This one right here is just open and shut. Opening day, you know what I'm saying? Alabama, I don't care if they on the road, at home, it's a tall task. I'm going Alabama in that one. 13.5 spread. I got Alabama winning by more than that. We could possibly see Alabama win by 17, 20 points. I'm going to just keep it honest with you. And that's no disrespect to Florida State, but I'm never going against Alabama, especially week 1. Now, later on in the season, like I said, maybe it would have been something different, but we talking about week 1, I'm going with Alabama and the crew. Moving on. This game right here, though, the main 2 games that I'm most excited to see is the first one I talked about, Texas and Ohio State, and this one right here, the LSU Tigers versus the Clemson Tigers. I think this game right here is going to be fireworks. Now, this one right here, I don't know. I kind of struggle with this one, but I'm going to go with Clemson. I think I believe it or not, I think Clemson is a 4-point favorite in this game. I'm going to go with Clemson to win. This game could go two ways. It could either go Clemson by 3 or it can go Clemson by 7. I don't think it's going to be that wide of a margin, but I do think Clemson wins this game. Clemson is returning a bunch of starters from last year. This is the highest that Clemson has been rated in a while. So, trust me, it's a lot of pressure on them. It's a lot of pressure on Dabo Swinney. It's a lot of, trust me, all eyes are going to be on this game because you want to see how Clemson, this right here can set a precedent early for how the season is going to go for the Clemson Tigers. Because if you can come into week 1, play a LSU team who I believe is a lot better than they was last year. I believe if Clemson can come out and win this game, I think we could see it where later on where Clemson is possibly competing for a national championship because they're bringing back a lot of talent from last year. I like their quarterback, Cade Klubnik. Big fan of him. So I can't wait to see how this game turns out. And the reason why I went Clemson, that place is going to be rocking. You know how it get. Them boys running down that hill. That place is going to be rocking. LSU, on the LSU side of things, I think this LSU team is solid. I think it's very good. They nailed the transfer portal. The main question is you have a lot of guys that haven't played with each other under fire yet going into Clemson. You know that place is going to be rocking. You know, how do they look playing together their first time? You know, a bunch of guys from the transfer portal. How do they look together as a unit in that first game? Like I said, we may see it mesh together more as the season goes, but I'm just talking about week 1. We got to see how it meshes together. I just think that's going to be a tall task. Now, if LSU can come out there and make some explosive plays early, get their weapons involved, that speed that they got on the outside, I believe, and if that offensive line could hold up with my man Naismith, I think Nesmeyer. I'm sorry, I said Naismith. I'm thinking about basketball. Damn. With my man Nesmeyer, I believe that if Clemson can go out and get that firepower going early, then we may have a different story. But I think it's going to be tough going into that environment. All these new pieces trying to gel together at one time and this big of a moment, I think that's going to be a tall task. So for that fact, I went Clemson on this one. But you never know. This game, I think that game right there is definitely going to be a nip and tuck ball game. I think that's a game that could come down to who gets the final possession. But that's just my prediction. So I went Texas, Alabama, Clemson. Those are for the 3 biggest games of week 1. Those are my prediction of who wins. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man. Just a little quick episode. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Football season is officially back. I got a lot more in store for y'all. A lot more collaborations. A lot more interviews. Trust me, man. It's a lot going on. Like I said, if you haven't checked it out already, go check out my last episode, my official interview with Bishop Behan of the Club 520 podcast. Great content, funny. We keeping it real. He giving advice on business, on the podcast world. We talk sports. We talk rap. Please go check it out if you haven't. And y'all already know, man, I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me each and every week. I will see y'all next time. You already know.